Hidden deep within the quietest corners of the human soul lies a captivating mystery: the question of authentic existence. This question has stirred the minds of countless generations of philosophers, thinkers, and psychologists. In a world that constantly imposes norms, molds, and pressures toward conformity, what does it truly mean to be oneself? How can a person, amidst a multitude of external voices, remain true to the inner voice within? For women, this question becomes even more profound. For thousands of years, female identity has been shaped by the hands of society through cultural traditions, moral expectations, and roles imposed by family, community, and even politics. Over time, these influences have formed a thick outer shell, concealing the inner voice, where intuition, raw emotion, and a woman's deepest essence reside. Carl Jung, with his remarkable ability to penetrate the depths of the human psyche, did not merely propose a theory, but offered us a path: the process of individuation. This is a deeply spiritual journey in which a woman begins to step away from outdated molds, not through rebellion or rejection of the outer world, but through a courageous act of turning inward, facing her shadow, making peace with the unconscious, and moving step by step toward her true self. This is not an easy journey. It demands honesty with oneself, patience with the process of transformation, and the courage to face both the light and the shadow within. Yet, within this journey, at the boundary between consciousness and the unconscious, between the social self and the original soul, a woman begins to access a unique form of power, a strength that does not come from perfection, but from authenticity. The unforgettable woman is the one who dares to live her own life, not the life defined by others. She is the one who has integrated all parts of herself, from her gentle femininity to her primal shadow, from the social mask, persona, to the soulful voice within, anima. And when all these parts are harmoniously united, she no longer needs to shout to be heard, because her presence is enough to inspire, move, and illuminate. That is the profound beauty and true strength of a woman who lives in alignment with her essence, not governed by external judgment, but radiant from within. Now, we invite you to step into a journey of discovering 9 essential keys to unlocking your inner strength and timeless feminine power, qualities that do not fade with age, but grow deeper and more captivating over time. These are not abstract theories, but practical insights and soulful guidance to help every woman reconnect with herself, recognize her true worth, and live fully in her unique truth. No matter your age or where you are in life, whether you're seeking confidence, peace, or a renewed connection with yourself after life's challenges, these 9 keys will serve as guiding lights on your path to self-discovery, healing, and inner radiance. Let's begin this journey together, a journey that will help you recognize the power that has always lived within you and awaken the feminine brilliance and wisdom that make you truly one of a kind. 1. Balancing anima energy, awakening true femininity from within. According to Carl Jung, every human being, regardless of gender, carries both masculine, animus, and feminine, anima energies. For women, recognizing and harmonizing with their inner anima is not just a process of psychological growth, but a powerful journey back to their most authentic and pure essence. When a woman reconnects with her feminine energy, symbolizing softness, emotion, intuition, and nurturing, she no longer needs to constantly prove herself or seek approval from others. Instead, she becomes calm and grounded, and radiates a quiet magnetism that others can sense, a presence of inner peace and strength. The beauty of this balance is that she no longer needs to try to impress. Her mere presence speaks volumes. Her allure doesn't stem from appearance, but from the deep alignment between her heart and soul. True femininity is not weakness or dependency. It is a strength expressed through softness and depth expressed through authenticity. It is the ability to simply be herself, and in doing so, inspire, heal, and lead in natural and unforced ways. When a woman truly integrates her anima, she lives in harmony with her essence and unlocks a luminous inner world filled with wisdom and depth. 2. Rebirth. Through letting go, the courage to leave, and the power to transform. On the path of personal growth, one of the most powerful steps isn't always adding something new, but learning to release what no longer serves us. Whether it's relationships that have lost their connection, jobs that drain your passion, or environments that suffocate your spirit, holding on out of fear of change can weigh you down and keep you stuck. Carl Jung once said, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." And that darkness, at times, is the clinging to the familiar, others' expectations, or outdated versions of ourselves. Letting go is not failure, nor is it a loss. It is an act of courage, acknowledging that you are worthy of more, and that change is necessary for true growth. Inner strength doesn't come from enduring everything to the end, but from the wisdom to know when to stop and the grace to walk away. And when you release what is old and no longer aligned, a new part of you emerges. This rebirth is quiet but profound. Not just a change on the outside, but a transformation from deep within. When a woman masters the art of letting go, she loses nothing essential. Instead, she gives herself the gift of living more truthfully, more freely, and with greater depth on her path. 4. Living authentically. The courage to be different and walk through loneliness. Living as your true self is a courageous path that is not always met with applause. It can often make you feel like an outsider. When you express yourself honestly, you may face criticism, skepticism, or distance from those who once felt close. They may say you've changed and are not who you used to be. But this isn't random change. It is a natural evolution, a sign of growth. True maturity often requires letting go of old roles, identities you once wore to be accepted, but no longer reflect who you truly are. And sometimes, this means walking alone for a while, not because you're wrong, but because you're entering a deeper, more authentic version of yourself. Inner strength isn't about avoiding pain, but facing pain without abandoning yourself. It's knowing that even when misunderstood, rejected, or compared, you still choose truth over convenience. Because real peace doesn't come from being liked by everyone, but from no longer betraying who you are to feel loved. The person who dares to live authentically accepts the temporary discomfort of feeling out of place, knowing that, in time, they will be surrounded by those who honor their real self. That is the true reward of staying committed to the path of becoming who you were always meant to be. 5. Freeing yourself from the need for approval, stepping beyond the role of the pleasant woman. From an early age, many women are taught that to be loved, they must be pleasant. Pleasant in words, in behavior, in emotions, and even in their dreams. They learn to shrink, soften their uniqueness, and dim their inner light to not make others uncomfortable. But the truth is this: you were never meant to shrink to fit into spaces never designed for your full self. The unforgettable woman is the one who has bravely let go of the need to be accepted by everyone. She no longer lives to meet expectations or seeks others' approval to feel worthy. Instead, she has discovered the most powerful form of validation, the one that comes from within. By listening to her feelings, honoring her truth, and understanding her inherent worth, she no longer depends on the external world to tell her she is enough. Releasing the need for acceptance doesn't make her cold or indifferent. Quite the opposite. It makes her free. Free to say no without guilt. Free to follow her passions without waiting for permission. free to shine without apologizing for taking up space. She is no longer the pleasing woman, but the authentic woman who refuses to mold herself into what the world wants her to be, and instead walks proudly in the shape of who she truly is. And that makes her magnetic, trustworthy, and deeply inspiring. Because nothing is more beautiful than a woman who knows her worth and lives by it unapologetically. 6. Setting boundaries, the art of saying no without apology. One of the clearest signs of an emotionally mature woman is her ability to set boundaries. Firmly, yet with compassion. She understands that saying no is not selfish or a rejection of others. It is, first and foremost, an act of self-respect, a way to protect her energy, time, and inner peace. Strong women no longer need to apologize for not meeting everyone's expectations. She no longer sacrifices her sleep, health, or emotional well-being to please others. She knows she was not born to be everyone's savior, and that true kindness does not require the abandonment of oneself. When she sets clear boundaries, whether in relationships, work, or social situations, she doesn't do so with resistance or hostility, but with self-awareness and emotional intelligence. Boundaries are not walls that isolate, but gateways that clarify what belongs and what does not, creating space for peace, clarity, and meaningful connections. This is a profound energetic shift from seeking acceptance to making conscious choices. She chooses what aligns with her, who can access her, and how she wants to live. From this space of self-honoring, she begins to attract people, opportunities, and relationships that match her frequency, where honesty and mutual respect are the foundation. A no, spoken from clarity and love, is one of the kindest acts you can offer yourself, and it teaches others exactly how to treat you. 7. Integrating the shadow, the courage to face and heal the forgotten parts within. In Carl Jung's psychology, the shadow is not something evil, but rather the part of the ego that holds the emotions, traits, and desires we try to hide, deny, or suppress because they don't align with the ideal image that society or we have created. These can include jealousy, fear of abandonment, feelings of weakness, or long-silenced childhood needs. For women, confronting the shadow can be particularly challenging. Society often teaches women to always be gentle, positive, and self-sacrificing. So anything that contradicts these expectations is easily labeled as bad or unacceptable. Yet within the shadow lies the key to true freedom. Because what we hide never disappears. It longs to be seen, understood, and embraced. An emotionally and spiritually mature woman is not someone who lacks fear, wounds, or mistakes, but someone brave enough to face them with honesty and compassion. She no longer strives for perfection or builds an image to please others, because she knows that real power comes from seeing herself clearly, both the light and the shadow, and choosing to live truthfully and wholeheartedly. Integrating the shadow does not make her less feminine. On the contrary, it makes her deeper, more authentic, and profoundly trustworthy. She doesn't impress through masks, but inspires through truth, because she has nothing left to hide or prove. And from that place of radical self-acceptance, she finds true freedom, the kind of freedom that allows her to be fully herself, with quiet strength and unwavering presence. 8. Emotional intelligence and intuition, a subtle yet unshakable power. In today's modern world, where logic, reason, and scientific proof are often prioritized, many women have become disconnected from a deeper, more ancient form of wisdom: intuition. This isn't just a vague feeling or superstition, as it is often misunderstood. Still, a profound form of knowing arises from the alignment of body, emotion, and inner energy, often delivering signals before the mind can catch up. Since ancient times, Women have been gifted with this natural sensitivity, a way of knowing without needing to see or hear clearly. Yet, when society teaches that only logic can be trusted, many women second-guess themselves, ignoring their inner voice and becoming more vulnerable to charming words, polished appearances, or surface-level logic. However, a woman attuned to her intuition is not easily deceived, because she listens to what is said and the energy behind it. Her body often responds before her mind does. A sudden discomfort, a racing heartbeat, a quiet unease, all signs that her emotional intelligence is speaking. When she learns to trust and honor these sensations, her intuition becomes a trusted compass, guiding her toward wise decisions and steering her away from toxic relationships or misleading choices. She doesn't need to argue or prove. She simply knows. And that knowing comes from within. It cannot be manipulated, and it cannot be fooled. When nurtured and respected, emotional intelligence and intuition become a woman's most powerful tools, soft but razor sharp, allowing her to walk through life with confidence, clarity, and a deep inner sense of safety. 9. The journey of individuation. Reconnecting with the original essence within. Every woman is born with a unique, pure, and irreplaceable essence, a delicate fusion of intuition, emotion, wisdom, and inner strength. Yet that essence often becomes clouded over time by layers of societal expectations, traditional roles, and externally imposed standards. Slowly, she begins to live according to what she should be, instead of who she truly is. Carl Jung called the journey of returning to this true essence the process of individuation, a profound spiritual path where a woman gradually peels away layers of conditioning, removes the masks imposed by society, and faces the hidden parts of her unconscious. It is not a straight or easy road. It demands radical honesty, deep courage, and immense patience with oneself. Individuation is not about becoming someone else, but about coming home to yourself more completely, living not for others' approval, but in harmony with the truth of your soul. The deeper a woman goes into this journey, the more she realizes that the answers were never outside her. They have always been within, waiting patiently for her to be still and brave enough to listen. And when she touches that original essence, she is no longer driven by comparison, achievement, or the need to be seen. She lives from a place of inner steadiness, freedom, and depth. That is the beauty of a woman who has fully individuated. A quiet power that does not need to announce itself, but effortlessly inspires and moves others through its sheer authenticity. A woman's true strength and allure are not found in her appearance, her wardrobe, or what she owns, but in the depth of her connection to her real self. Her radiance is not fleeting or surface level, but a lasting inner glow born from deep self-understanding, calm presence, and alignment between her feelings and how she lives. The unforgettable woman is not the one who constantly tries to stand out or appear perfect. She is the one who has stopped becoming what the world expects and instead begun the journey of remembering who she was before the world told her who to be. She dares to shed the layers she wore for years, release roles and expectations, and return to her raw, unfiltered, and sacred truth. This act, the return, the remembering, the reconnection with the soul, is the source of her timeless beauty and unshakable power. A woman who knows who she truly is cannot be defined, cannot be shaken, and does not need permission to shine. She becomes a living inspiration, a symbol of depth, freedom, and unwavering presence, a beauty that cannot be faked and can never be forgotten.